All right. All right. So yeah. And we're live. Welcome to Culture Kitchen. Back to Facebook Live, this time via Zoom. My name is Simon. You may know me as VIU Simon. I've got Dana here with me from the Cultural Connections team. Hey, Dana.
Hey.
Both of us. So today, I'm going to be cooking something that I call a West Coast mashup. Other people may have different names. Some people might call it a skillet or a hash. I wanted to avoid a situation where people are saying VIU Simon taught them how to make West Coast hash, but I have seen restaurants describe it that way as maybe an aged cheddar and kale hash. So what that is short for is hash browns, which is a very popular, common breakfast food here in Canada and the US, which is just chopped up potatoes, pan fried, usually. So anyway, that's what I'm gonna make. It involves all kinds of good stuff, like mushrooms, cheese. I'm gonna use asparagus.
That's bold.
That's for last. I've got some broccoli chopped up fairly small. Got an onion that's already in the pan with the potatoes. And of course, kale. As you learned from my first episode, something I like to add to almost everything I cook. One, because it grows here almost year round, and two, because it's highly nutritious. And just to get into kale a bit here at the beginning, when I was first given kale from a farmer friend, you know, I don't know how many years ago, but before I wasn't really familiar with it. I didn't know what to do with it because I saw it as lettuce. I thought, what the heck am I going to do with all this lettuce, hard, chewy lettuce? I thought, you know, it's too rough and tough to put in a sandwich. But it was when I discovered it's not to be treated the same way as lettuce. You want to use it as something else, like that you slice. Here we go. That you slice and dice, right? So this is just an example here. It's pre-washed. I washed it. I'm just slicing it up into nice strips. It doesn't look that, well, yeah, it looks pretty good. So don't get overwhelmed by kale if you're not used to it. You don't just put a leaf in your sandwich, at least I don't. You slice it up into smaller pieces, maybe avoid the hard center, chop that, and we'll put in your compost, preferably. If you chop that finely though, it'll cook up fine too. And then you just add it to things, anything, stir fries, eggs like I'm doing today, or what I call mashup eggs and potatoes. So if you are just joining me here, this is Culture Kitchen live stream cooking show. I'm the host. In the future, though, we'll have VIU students do it. I'm a staff member in the international department. But last week, we did have a recent grad, Ashwin Kumar, host from Vancouver, on our Instagram platform. So back to Facebook Live now via Zoom. And West Coast mashup is what we're making. Just to review the ingredients, it's potatoes, eggs, onion, broccoli, mushroom, kale, asparagus. And did I say cheese? I don't know. And that's what's going to come up in the end. So I'm using a laptop now. It's a little bit tricky. I'm going to show you my pan here. There we go. Sizzle.
And crispy.
Yeah, crispy. So we've got onion and potato frying up. A little bit well done, especially the onion that went in first. Multitasking while cooking is not a strength of mine. So this video thing is a challenge, but I'm having fun.
Janelle Wilson says, "Hey Simon," and she's loving your kale fetish.
Oh yeah. That's good to hear. I love knowing when people are tuned in, and see, just hear that sizzle. That's sort of to get people in the mood for the cooking show. Always like to have the audio there. So we're really cooking things up. So if you're hungry, you know, maybe this will inspire some cooking. Now the potatoes, I prepared them early because if you're gonna cook, you're gonna use fresh potato as opposed to the frozen bag of hash browns. Just I'm just messing around here with the little turntable. Turn that off for now. Yeah, with the potatoes, you're gonna need to finely chop them because potatoes take a long time to cook. Dana mentioned earlier a good tip for preparing this is to boil the potatoes in advance, then chop them up, and they don't take nearly as long to cook. Feel like
hey,
it's
Utah. Utah is here.
Hey, Utah, thanks
From
for tuning
Japan.
in. Normally when I'm cooking for leisure, and this is another point I'd like to get across to people, is when we're busy, you know, cooking can be sort of a chore. You just whip something together. You don't maybe get that much good vibrations from it because you're rushed. But now in this age of isolation, staying at home more, I encourage people to make it an activity, a leisure activity. You call it self-care maybe. I've selected a record to go on, the Yellow, Purple, and Nancy, classic dancehall reggae album. And the reason actually I chose this today to accompany my cooking experience is because there's a song called Mash It Up. And they're talking about different vegetables actually. And to mash it up in Jamaican sort of lingo or patois means a lot of different things. It could be a good thing, it could be a bad thing. You know, to mash up the place can be positive, right? You brought the vibes, the energy, mash up the party, or you can ruin the party by mashing up the place. So it depends on context. And when applied to food, I mean, mash it up, you're mixing it up. So that's how I came up with this, being a reggae promoter and fan and DJ, a lot of that stuff enters into my own world. So yeah, West Coast mashup is the meal I'm making. What else can I say? I don't know, Dana, how do you feel about this? I mean, would you call what I'm making a skillet or a hash brown mix up?
Yeah, I don't know. I would call it probably a hash. I'd say a hash is kind of open to interpretation. So the hash is you got your staple ingredients, your potatoes, and then whatever you got left in the cupboard or the fridge, you can throw in. It's fair game, I think.
Yeah. So like I say, skillet, that's another thing you might see on a menu at certain diners, restaurants. If you ask for a West Coast mashup at a restaurant, they're not going to know what you're talking about because it's just something that myself and a few friends have come to describe it that way. Now, part of the reason I like it, it's you use whatever you have in the fridge. As long as you have that foundation of potatoes, whether it's a frozen bag of hash browns, pre-chopped, pre-diced, very common in Canada, or you're using, fresh potatoes from your garden or that you picked up at the store, just chop them finely and do it in advance. If you're trying to maybe impress somebody and you want to make this and you spend an hour chopping potatoes while the person's hungry, it may harm the vibe you're trying to put out there. However, sweet of a endeavor you sought out to do for the person. So prep is important. Actually, this model that I'm doing for you is a good inspiration for me to do the same kind of prep too when I'm cooking for someone else. So little tip.
And then you can sweet talk your date. You're not just cooking, you guys have time to talk.
I'll have to come back to you. These potatoes require a stir. So while the potatoes are cooking, and they're getting there because I did start them before this show began. This mouse is a real pain. To carry a computer with the mouse is a barrier to success. Okay, so there's the pan. As you can see, the potatoes are looking pretty good. I prefer a crispy hash brown, so they are going to cook for a little bit longer still. But remember, folks, this is just a base, simply a base to what's to come. And I think we're ready to start adding things. So you want to add in order of what takes the longest to cook. So onions and potato first. And what do you think, Dana? Maybe probably broccoli would be the next thing that takes a little bit of time.
It'll take a little longer, I think.
So
yeah, you're right.
They're not tiny, but they're not big chunks. Chunks versus fine pieces is a matter of preference. Anyone out there into the big chunks? Just for a little conversation. I don't know. But anyway, because you're going to use small pieces of potato, usually I'll keep that consistent and put small, finely chopped vegetables as well. But, to each their own. Let's do this. Balance a computer. Wouldn't it be, this is a new computer I borrowed from VIU. Wouldn't it be something if it fell into the frying pan? And I could say it was while I was working. So
workplace hazard.
I've got a good handle on this machine. One hand. How did
Anook says he likes Dana? Yeah, it looks good. And Anook says he likes the crispy potatoes. I'm in the crispy potato team. Yeah.
Because this is traditionally breakfast, I would say, but of course you could have it anytime. There are no rules when it comes to cooking. I mean, there are certain guidelines to follow, but if you have eggs at night or morning, what does it matter? And people from other parts of the world know that eggs can be dinner. But for some reason in Canada, a lot of people have this idea that it's just for breakfast. So we're breaking the barriers here of cultural mores in Canada when it comes to eggs. We're having it at night for supper. Okay.
I was thinking too, it could probably be a good camping dish. Like if you kind of had your veggies and stuff prepped and then just tinfoil that up and stick it in the fire, it might work out.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, another nice thing about the mashup is you can be unconventional. A lot of people wouldn't put broccoli with eggs, but why not? You chop it finely. Same goes for these guys, asparagus. I'm gonna give them a quick rinse. Now, there's different schools of thought about which part of the asparagus you chuck. So I was taught you bend it where it breaks naturally. That's the part. That's the part you don't use because it's kind of too hard. So I don't know if people have something to say about that technique, but that's what I've been doing. Where it naturally breaks is where the harder part begins. If you're really trying to maximize your nutrition and food, I'm sure if you just cook those harder pieces longer, or at least some of it, it would be okay. But in this kind of privileged context, people usually just go for the softer part of the asparagus. Now, normally this is visually quite nice. You fry them or cook them in any way whole and then put them on the side as a garnish. In this case, let's pretend these are old. Actually, we don't have to pretend. Look at those guys. They are getting a bit old. So chop them up. No one will know the difference once they're in this mashup. So another advantage of such a dish, people don't have to know the veggies you have in your fridge aren't absolutely fresh. Throw it in there, and it's like, wow, what an array, what an assortment of veggies you've included there. Impressive, right? They don't know that they're on the edge, like maybe could have put them in the compost. They don't have to know because it's going to taste good and it's all cooked anyway. Okay, maybe you can see this. Let's add a little tip, and this is like a thing that so many people do, and I was part of this probably ignorant majority. And I'll just say because we're not all professional chefs, but an illustrious chef or restaurateur friend of mine saw me scraping from the cutting board with the knife blade down. It's wrong because you want to take care of your knives. Turn it around and use the back of it. That's a pro tip. And I've never turned back since I got that tip, and it makes total sense. Why would you want to dull your knife by doing that all the time? Just a little tidbit there. So we're going to do that way. I'll do it with a larger knife to make it more dramatic. Just you scrape it down. Better. Okay, let's go for it. There we go. Dana.
Yo.
Which way did you do that?
Yeah, I was gonna say I probably do it the wrong way when I'm thinking about it.
I don't suggest there's the wrong way or the right way. There's a way that preserves the sharpness of your knife. And
Exactly.
that's the way that restaurateur friend showed me, which was quite a nice tip and made total sense. And I
Yeah.
didn't take it as arrogance. Well, maybe for a second when he first told me, but I'm like, holy crap, he's right. Totally right. So my knife direction, blade direction has forever changed since that moment.
Got to trust the experts.
Maybe I'm changing the lives of your knives right now too.
You're lengthening the lives of the knives anyways.
Wonderful. If I could do one thing in this, no, I could do more than one thing. If there's one, that's a good takeaway from this show though so far, but there's more. So mashup is continuing to cook. I do have it on a low setting. One thing, because potatoes take a long time to cook. Another reason is this is a multitask environment, running a show live and doing this. So if we got caught up in some conversation about grilled cheese versus panini or anything like that, I could forget about the immediate task at hand and easily have burnt food. So although it's always good to kind of, if you have the time, go in the lower settings, because you can always cook something more, you can't unburn something. So, this period here is all about slowing down. In some ways, those of us who do have the time to slow down, take it, and slow it down. Everything from, just what do stuff for you if you can, and slow down in your cooking. Make it a leisure activity and lower that temperature.
There's been some appreciation with the knife tip.
Oh, good,
Yeah,
great.
Yeah. It's reaching people.
Yeah. Another thing I could mention is to set up your environment nicely. Like before I start, I thought, holy, I've got some work to do just to prep my environment. There's some dirty dishes there. Right now I've got them strategically placed in the sink.
Looks clean from certain angles.
Just kind of like get it moving, and it also it communicates action is imminent. I like that about them being there. It's like you're going to do it soon. They're not done, but I like to say something not done yet is very different than something not done at all. So remember that, folks, for all the procrastinators out there, or people who are just practicing self-care in this era of isolation. It's a slower rhythm. It's not a wrong rhythm. It's just different rhythm, slower rhythm. Maybe it's a healthier rhythm. Depends what else you have on your plate or cutting board. So speaking of that, let's throw in this. Let's do the mushrooms.
Yeah, those will take a little longer.
A little bit. Now, there's also discussion in the cooking world about mushrooms, and are you supposed to wash them? Do you just brush off any dirt or residue? Different schools of thought there. I was told by a restaurant friend that if you're going to clean them at all, you're going to brush them off. If you wash them, they kind of turn slimy or mushy easier. I mean, it's not that big of a deal if you're not a restaurateur, but one thing to consider. And there is such a tool, which I wouldn't expect people to have until they're at least 45, which is a brush to clean your mushrooms, a mushroom brush. I thought I would made it when I had a tea strainer, but there's other levels of domestication that happen as you settle. I mentioned the different kinds of cutting boards, ones for presentation and ones for everyday use. These kind of things may or may not happen to you as you get more settled with your own place and such. So the mushroom brush has not entered my repertoire of things. Who knows?
So my mom worked at a mushroom farm, and she basically scrapes off the top layer of the mushroom. And I don't know if a restaurateur would be okay with that, but she can't. The visual of the mushroom in the dirt and what's in the dirt.
Right. So she would just scrape off the whole top layer.
She takes like a whole layer right off her mushroom.
Now, would she be using a peeler, like a carrot peeler?
No, just a little knife, like a paring knife. And so she just kind of scrapes off that. Yeah,
Okay.
she just
if
can't
you got
get
a lot of
past
mushrooms, that's a big job.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna venture over to the stovetop and put these in. You know, they're thinly sliced. These are just your regular white mushrooms available at any grocery store in Nanaimo. They're in there. Let's bring you over there. Any questions from the viewers? In this format, I can't actually see any activity on the Facebook Live since I'm doing this from Zoom. So,
I am relaying. Yeah, no questions yet. The knife tip was a good one.
okay.
Yeah, Anouk said, yeah, sharp knives are life-changing, which is true.
Yeah.
You don't really know what you're missing until you have a sharp knife.
True, you know, like a lot of things in life, I didn't know what I was missing without a selfie stick. I dismissed that advancement in human ability in this new era of smartphones. And it's, you know, I'm gonna say, like, I like it more than carrying a laptop over to the stove. Can you see that all right?
Yeah, we can see it.
All right, so everything's mixed in there nicely. I would say my colors are coming in, but like you can have nicer color combos. You could have red in there if you had red pepper or tomato. Yeah.
Oh, Heather peels her mushrooms too.
Heather peels the mushrooms. Okay,
Yeah,
so nobody
it's a
really
thing.
washes them because they know about that soggy issue. Okay, here we go, and I'm back.
Hi, Paola. Paola's comparing you to Master Chef here.
Hey, Paola. Okay. I think I'm even going to put the kale in. So, folks, if you're just tuning in, welcome to the third edition of Culture Kitchen Live. It's quite a thing to do a live cooking show. It's a lot of fun. I really hope to get lots of students to host this moving forward. This is my second time, so I'm 2 out of 3 editions have been me. So moving up from the grilled cheese, on today's episode, I'm making something that I call a West Coast mashup. Some people might call a skillet, and other people may call a hash, short for hash brown. And so what it is, it's a base of potatoes and eggs. Those are the 2 main ingredients. And what you add from there is really up to you. Depends what you have in your fridge. I've mixed it up quite a bit with adding broccoli, finely chopped, onion, some asparagus chopped up into pieces, and mushrooms. And the final veggie is this kale that I've got sliced up nicely and ready to go. So I'll add that to the mix, to the mashup. Making sure to use wood here, you know, just to reference the first episode, importance of using the right material on your non-stick pans. But you know, it's a bit of a farce, non-stick pans. The amount of care and attention they need to remain non-stick, you know, for most people, they're not going to maintain it. I mean, that's the kind of care and attention, I don't know, like it could cause problems in a relationship to be caring so much for the pan. If you want to really, really commit to keeping them non-stick year after year. It's unfortunate. You might just have to buy a new one every so often. If anyone's out there viewing who has a non-stick pan that's still non-stick after like 3 years, I want to hear about it because I don't know if that exists.
Yeah, what brand did you buy?
My generation. Somehow some of the people of my parents' generation, they seem to have a different kind of regiment in their household, and some of them, they do keep their non-stick longer than people of my cohort, from my limited view into that world of people 65 plus.
Simon, have you seasoned yet?
What's that?
Have you seasoned yet?
Have I seasoned yet?
Well, that's something
no,
I always forget.
And, you know, something like this, the main seasoning is just salt and pepper. Of course, you could add curry powder. You could add various seasonings like a Caribbean spice medley or, you know, a steak spice medley of like basically salt and pepper and some other things. I usually keep it pretty straightforward in this because I do like the classic Canadian breakfast flavors of potatoes, veggies, eggs. right? So salt brings out some flavor there quite sufficiently. And the cheese too is key. You need the right spreading of the cheese to flavor it up. Now, I do add, and this is where there could be some variety in those who like this meal, is do you put ketchup with your mashup or your skillet, or do you put hot sauce, or both, or nothing? I like both, the hot sauce and some ketchup. It depends.
I'm a plain girl. I don't do
Any
ketchup.
feelings there, one way or another?
Anook said though you could season with some dill or some fresh herbs. I like cilantro.
Oh yes, yes. Thank you for bringing it up. I do have cilantro, but like everyone's experience with cilantro in the fridge, and I don't want anyone to pretend like they can't relate to this. Sometimes your cilantro looks like that.
Okay, I have a tip.
What's that?
You put it in a glass of water, back into your fridge, but with that plastic over top. So it kind of creates
over top?
Yeah, it creates a little mini like greenhouse sort of thing in the fridge though, and it lasts for so much longer.
Great tip.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dana. Because like this is just not so appetizing. But again, when you're the chef and people aren't scrutinizing as you cook, you can glean this and get the good pieces. It's another takeaway from my cooking show. Salvage stuff, just because it's got a little bit discolored or whatever doesn't mean it's all bad. That goes for a lot of foods. Cut out the bad part, keep the good part. With cilantro, I find you do want to chop it up though to release that aroma, those rich flavors that really make any food taste fresh, right? That's the magic of cilantro. The flavor is just freshness to me. Even when it's not fresh, it's pretty amazing. So yeah, this will take too long to pick through and do it in front of you, so I'm not going to do that. But maybe when I sit down and enjoy the whole meal, I might do that for myself, sprinkle it on. It looks good for presentation too at the end. When you're serving it to someone, sprinkle some cilantro, chopped up. Yeah, Culture Kitchen. Who would think I'd be at home working like this? But it's a good time. I do like cooking, and I will say since this new situation, I've been cooking a lot more. Again, it's something I used to do for the enjoyment, right? For cooking great food and trying to cook things I haven't cooked before. And I actually do try lots of foods, cooking a lot of foods from different countries. I've done quite a bit of cooking of sort of Caribbean foods, Mexican foods, even like a little bit of Ethiopia and Somali foods. So I do Indian, of course, Vietnamese. So I've kind of I've tried a lot of things, and it's great. So I do recommend it. And when you're here, you can get pretty much all the ingredients and spices. It's not everything, but there's a good variety out there for people who want to experiment and try different cuisines or just things that haven't made before.
That's the thing. At least we have access to a lot of different supermarkets that have a lot of international food here.
What are the stores that have international foods?
Well, we have a lot of them. So like Superstore is a go-to.
Yeah, and Fairway Market.
Fairway.
Manly, Taj Mahal, Sabzi Mandi. Yeah, there's a lot for sure. You're not going to find all the mashup stuff though, because that's hyper local. It's basically my house and a few friends that refer to it as that. But yeah, they're common ingredients though for sure. One other thing, so I just have mozzarella cheese grated. Feta is really nice to sprinkle on there right at the end. Somehow I like feta with spinach in there. It's a nice combo. You want to do a low heat situation. Now, all right. We're going to take a look at this stuff. So as you could tell, like for me, hang on. There we go. It's actually looking pretty cooked. Like
delicious.
I would say it's pretty much done. But there's two key things missing, and that's the eggs and the cheese. I will add some salt and pepper. So when it's time to put the eggs in, some people will stir the eggs up as you would to make scrambled eggs, like kind of whip them up in a bowl. You can do that, but I'm into saving dishes. I don't want to do any more dishes than I have to. So, and it's a mashup. So the whole point is mash it up in there. You know, you don't need to have it all perfectly whipped before. Put it in the pan and mix it with the veggies. You feel that?
I want some.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Do you do skip the dishes?
So, yeah. So one thing though, it doesn't matter too much, but if you want it to be a bit clean, you know, I cleared up some space in the pan. I'm going to put the eggs in there, and I want them to initially get a good fry before I stir them in with everything or mash it in. So I'll add a couple more drops of oil. I'm just using canola oil. I mean, you can use any oil really that is good for hot temperatures. Well, not, you know, some oils, you know your oils before you just get in there. Some of them really are for low temperature only. You know, this is only at 2.6 on the stove, but it feels hot to me.
Been sitting there for a little while.
Yeah, it's been going for a while. So what time is it? Holy.
We're at 5:40.
Yeah, I was kind of stretching it out because I think it wasn't long enough, but it's plenty long. People might be getting bored. But folks, just hang in there because the action is about to happen here. I'm going to put a laptop on a bowl. That's exciting in itself. Oh, look at that angle.
Perfect.
There we go. So I'm going to add 3 eggs to this mix. Crack it right in there. Pretty good sizzle. I don't know if you could hear it. It's not a loud sizzle. Turn it up a bit. If you're just tuning in, folks, this is Culture Kitchen every Tuesday on Facebook Live from the VIU Cultural Connections site. We're doing it through Zoom, which is kind of a new thing for us. I think there's a 20-second delay. I can't see your comments, unfortunately, but my assistant, Dana, can. You know, I'm going to leave it at 2 eggs. I don't need to overdo it. I'm the one who's going to be eating it. So the eggs are just frying up there. No big deal. Standard procedure. I'm going to put on some mashup music, though, for the mashup part, all right? All right, so this song is actually called Mash It Up. There we go, we mash it up. This is the excitement, folks. Mashing it up nice. Oh yeah, it's really mashed up nicely. Actually, I put a diagram of how to dance to ska. Perfect. Nice. Look how nice it's mashed up. Now that is mashed up nicely. There we go. Little musical interlude. So mash it up now. That's Yellow Man featuring Fathead. And they're talking about how they love bok choy in that song. Another thing you could add to a mashup if you had it. Cheese time. Sprinkle it in. Don't be shy. Give a healthy sprinkling of cheese.
More cheese, the better.
Yeah, pretty much, unless you're lactose intolerant, and then, you'd be.
Get some diet.
If you're at home, I would say it's worth it. You know, if you're at home, especially if you have 2 bathrooms in the house, just do it. I mean, to each their own. But this thing is so good, I would say it's worth it. Okay.
It's worth the risk.
Yeah, I mean, you're at home. What's the worst that could happen? If you have to take a long distance bus, then avoid it, right? Salt.
There you go. That's what I always forget.
No, and like this shaker, it's all gunked up because humidity. We're on the West Coast. Sometimes you got to put dry rice kernels in your salt to keep it from doing that. But anyway, I'll deal with that after the fact when I eat it. I will show you the hot sauce I use, and we're going to get to the conclusion really soon. Oh yeah, this is a nice one. Pica mas. It's a Guatemalan hot sauce. I found at Fairway Market, and this is the bomb. This is really great stuff, especially with breakfast. So big up Guatemala for, it's a wonderful place, but also it's a great source of hot sauce. And the local stores have a good selection usually. So let's have a look at this. I think the time is running long. I feel like I may have been stretching this out a little bit too long. How's everybody doing out there?
We're doing good. Yeah, well, cooking's always better with music, that's for sure. And then to have a little dance.
Yeah. So I'll turn on the music again. And I'm going to play this. Just enjoy the music. I'm up to something here for presentation purposes. All right, there we go, folks. I've added a couple slices of grapefruit. So this is a plate that's friendly to the folks who can't eat toast, right? Gluten-free. Sometimes it just sucks because breakfast and toast in Canada go together well. But a good way around that, if you can't eat wheat, go for the mashup. It's potatoes. You don't need bread because there's enough starch there already. All right, I think that concludes the show. I mean, I'll have a bite here just for dramatic purposes. Test it out. So once again, West Coast mashup: broccoli, onion, mushroom, asparagus, kale, potato, egg, and mozzarella cheese. Here we go. I've got to be careful not to burn my cheek. It's good. Actually, really good. Not burnt or anything. So, folks, hope you're learning something new. West Coast mashup: skillet or hash, eggs, cheese, potato. Pretty easy. Use up all the stuff left over in your fridge and impress your guests after the quarantine.
Thank you, Simon.
Thanks, everybody. This has been Culture Kitchen. VIU Simon here with VIU Dana, Cultural Connections team. Make sure you spread the word. Tell people to like our Facebook page. And if you're interested in hosting your own edition, this is how it will work. There'll be Dana or me as the host or co-host, and you'll be the main person cooking it up. Now, don't do what I do and take 45 minutes. We want this to be about 25 minutes. But it is hard to gauge and hard to know how long it's really going to take. But that's it. Culture Kitchen. I'm going to enjoy the food. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
West Coast mashup. It's a mashup. All right. See you. Thanks, Dana.
See you, Simon.
Bye-bye.